So we've spent a good amount of time in the previous two videos, if you watch them, talking about the standard enclosures and the new dimming module and how the currently shipping relay modules and fan modules and the like exist inside of the new enclosures and legacy enclosures and the like, and all of the ins and outs to do with the that feature set. But also included in this update to Design Center 3.0 is the graphical builds of enclosure view for the auxiliary enclosures, which are to house the LVOS product, the new LVOS products, the LVOS 0 to 10-PWM. Now, the way those get added is I'm again here in enclosure view, as you can see by the graphics in front of you. I'm going to be in enclosure view this entire time, and there's a couple of ways that you can add this. One is you can right click inside of the enclosure view on the controller and say add auxiliary enclosure. And what that will do is add an empty enclosure. Notice it doesn't have the black back planes for the dimming or the relay modules and like, it's just empty. But you can see there are basically screw holes for mounting the new LVOS PWM, and there's a couple of ways you can go about populating or adding these LVOS products. For example, I can right click on a space and say add LVOS, and that's going to add the LVOS. It's going to have its information such as VID, a serial number, location, and then a relay pairing table that we'll talk about momentarily. So all the parameters regarding that particular product. It is also found inside of the station's Ethernet bus area with LVOS PWM that you can drag in specifically to an enclosure. Now, these enclosures can be, they have their own set of properties, and they can be set to a station count of either 6 or 10, which will change the number of devices, or you can, let's say in this case, let's delete this LVOS. You can also have this singularly mounted, so I'm going to change it. When there's only one LVOS, you have the option for a single enclosure type, which it will ship with. And these enclosures are orderable through Design Center and have specific part numbers per. So either come in a 1 module, a 6 module, or a 10 module count. So let's go back to say a 6 module count, and let's go back and add some LVOSs to this enclosure. So I've got a few of these, okay? A couple of things you should know about the LVOS. As an example, one is you can go through and explode the view. So this is really tight. You can see there's you can roll over and get the information about these loads that get automatically added, as opposed to like a dimming module or a relay module where the loads are not added. We add these for you automatically. There's a couple reasons for that we'll cover here in just a minute, but it has to do with pairing. I'm going to double click this device, and what it's going to do is it's going to explode the view, right? So meaning it's going to make it a lot larger and easier to see specifics about each object that I can roll over and say click on a load and get more details about that particular load. Now the new LVOS-PWM won't release until later in the summer of this year, but it does have a lot of new features that we'll cover briefly here. One is the ability to pair loads. And load pairing has to do with the fixture types that you're trying to control. Because what happens is there are 4 PWM specific loads, 4 0 to 10 loads, and 4 relay loads. So it's basically a 12 load module, each set up in groups of 4. There are also 4 contact input closures on this device. Now this device is an Ethernet bus or station bus based object. So if I go to the bus view, I'm going to see these objects as either station bus or Ethernet bus. And I can have these, they'll show up in either one. You can wire them up as a station bus or as an Ethernet bus object. So I go into bus view, I can take PWM and put them on the Ethernet bus instead of station bus. So depending on how you have this wired, these may all end up underneath the Ethernet bus. I'm just clicking and dragging these specifically. So station bus or Ethernet bus objects. They have a serial number, so they have to be assigned, and that's done by putting the system in configure mode like you would for all other stations. And then from the front panel of the LVOS, there is a configure button on that product specifically that allows you to configure just that station. Okay, now back to what we were talking about with the relay pairing table. Because of the complexity of some of our low voltage loads, right, the LED loads that there may be out there, they require not only a 0 to 10 or a PWM output, but they also require a relay contact or a relay load output. And build basically kind of a bridge where output 1 of the relay and output, say, 1 of the PWM can be matched so they're controlled together through the hardware. So for example, I would go to relay pairing line 1, where it's relay 1, and I'm going to choose, say, PWM. And so that load is a PWM load, so output 1 of the PWM and output 1 of the relay are now tied together. Let's say output 2 was a 0 to 10 load. So what I would do is I would go to relay pairing output number 2, and I would choose DC for 0 to 10. And now what I've done is I've hardwired basically in the software to mimic the hardwiring that is going to happen specific to these types of fixtures. So that's some real power there that allow you to go through the programming and tie those together on the controller side, as well as on the task programming side. So some exciting things about the auxiliary enclosures, as these can be added to projects specifically to the loads that you're looking for. The auxiliary enclosures aren't necessarily new per se. We've had them for some time, but they have not necessarily been available in DC. But these particular auxiliary enclosures are brand new and match the new lighting platform specifications and efforts that we're putting together for the new dimming modules and the future output of other new modules coming out, and the LVOS PWM module for the auxiliary enclosures is an exciting new release. And these enclosures can be ordered now and shipped now. Let's show you, for example, how that's done in the ordering wizard. You're just going to launch the ordering wizard and pick that particular product. I'm going to launch this real quick and move through my ordering wizard. So I would go to my enclosures, pick out the auxiliary enclosure, and notice that this is an IAUX2, and that's all you're going to need to do. There are no specific terminal boards to this enclosure, and when the time comes you'll be able to order LVOS by LVOS. So unlike the dimming modules, there are no backplanes or special terminal boards or the like to be ordered. Okay, so that's the ordering wizard. Now there's also a new report that I want to show you, the auxiliary enclosure schedule, that can be ran and printed and handed to the installer to make sure the wiring is done as necessary. So we'll launch that schedule here. You'll see that it's run inside of DC, and you'll see there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 position. And you can see that each one of the different station loads, 0 to 10 or PWM, and the dry contacts and the relay loads are added directly to you. And we'll show proper naming conventions as you name them for each project. So that's the new auxiliary enclosure. Hope you enjoy it. Specify it into your projects. Take a good look at this video and at the Design Center build of software to get familiar with how to implement and utilize the new auxiliary enclosure capabilities and the new LVOS that is shortly to release, and enjoy the programming environment.